So for Challenge A, I decided to use one of these regular student planners that I found on Amazon. And what I'm doing is I'm putting all of the summaries on Tuesdays. For example, for math or logic in week 1, they had lessons 1 through 4. So I would put, that's a summary, lessons 1 through 4 under math and logic. I have the sides here labeled, including PE. So you see logic and math, research science, cartography under social studies, Latin under language arts, rhetoric, exposition, composition is the lit, and then for him he has robotics. On the bottom I have his schedule if he has any other thing going on, like a PE class of some sort or whatever class he has extra. But anyways, going back to Tuesday, I write down the summary right there, and then I break it down for him and he checks it off. I figure as he gains more skills across the year or across the years, he'll do more of this. But for now, as he has increased content, then I will help him with the organization, because to have increased organization and increased content is overwhelming. So to keep a happy balance, I'm doing this part for him. And then he comes and he checks it off. For example, under logic, math, if you notice Tuesday has lessons 1 through 4. So I wrote down lesson 2, since he had already done lesson 1. And then on Wednesday, that's when I have him do his sample problem. It's just easier to get it out of the way on either a Wednesday or a Thursday, I figured. Then on Thursday, I have a checkbox for lesson 3, enter 1 sample problem if he didn't do it the day before. Then lesson 4 on Friday. So then that's your week for math. Then if you look at science, the assignment was week 1 topic, which was astronomy. And so what I had him do, I had him choose the 2 books already, and so I had him write the bibliography for one of them on Wednesday, and then one of the bibliographies on Thursday. He did 2 of his sentences, at least that was the goal on Wednesday, but it turned out he did 5. So we didn't have to do any more on Thursday. We can check that off. And then on Friday, if he had a bibliography 3, that's what he did. And again, he had already finished everything on Wednesday. So we were pretty much done with science. Anything extra would be reading on the topic that I had him just go find something on the internet related to his topic, which was the sun. On social studies or cartography, the goal for the week was to do the 4 maps of Canada and the geoterms, 6 of them. So on Wednesday, he traced Canada with tracing paper, and then he labeled the provinces. And then on the next day, he traced it over in pen. So 1 was pencil, 1 was pen. And then by Friday, I had him try and copy the entire map into the brain book. And so we didn't go that far, actually. We just did the provinces. We didn't label anything else, not the territories. For language arts, the goal was to do, where's language arts? To do, that's Latin. So Latin, I had him do some tracing work that we either did orally, or I wrote them down and he traced it, or we did it together and he copied it. And then we did it with some pictures. And then we did the same thing on Thursday and the same thing on Friday, but we just had one exercise by Friday left. last week was not as intensive as this week, for example. And Rhetoric, we had a summary of chapter 1 that we're supposed to do in the catechism questions 1 through 3. So then the way I broke it down for his list was I had him do copy work for the catechism, get that out of the way on Wednesday, 3 of them. And then for the lesson portions, we read aloud. I wrote down the sentence, he dictated, and then he copied it in pen, right? We did one portion on Wednesday, we did one portion on Thursday, and one on Friday. And then the last subject was composition, which was the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And the main thing to know that week was what Annie meant, which was the invention, the arrangement, the elocution, those concepts in the lesson book, which basically invention is like the brainstorming, the arrangement is like doing the diagram, elocution just means writing out the sentences. And then each week we learn like a new skill in the elocution. So some, like, they'll learn about adding similes and metaphors and different style elements to their sentences. So each week they'll learn something about invention, each week they'll learn something about arrangement, each week elocution. And Annie, the Annie chart is just an example of how to brainstorm, right? So that's invention. And so the way it looked on Wednesday, I just had him review 10 minutes. Like, I started off by saying, okay, so we've read the book, or just as I'm getting breakfast ready, go ahead and review it for about 10 minutes before we get started. And then we dove into the 3 interesting facts or actions for the Annie chart, because the goal was 10. So we just did 3 on Wednesday, and then wrote those down. And we did the same thing on Thursday. So by the time we got to Friday, we had 9 interesting facts, right? So if we got to 10, great. If not, then that's, 3 a day was fine. And basically that's how the week looked for week 1. And then that worked out for us for week 1, so I copied the same thing for week 2 and just broke it down to roughly what we would do for maybe half an hour for each subject, with the exception of math. We did a little bit longer, and then in the following weeks, we'll spend more time with the reading as well. So right now, luckily, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is one of those review books, and so that was easier for us in that sense. And then we'll just add more reading as the weeks go on. But for the first couple weeks, I was looking at basically half an hour each subject, and that was good for us. Okay.